Hi, this is Dana Linton for Novels Live TV, and I am here with Rebecca York, New York Times bestseller. And you have been on I've been watching you on Twitter. I see some of your things. You've taken some pretty amazing trips recently, haven't you?
Yes, I have. We just came back from India, and I decided I would wear saris. And so I've worn them to the Kennedy Center, I've worn them out to lunch with my friends, and here I am in one of my saris.
And it is absolutely beautiful, and it looks so comfortable.
It is. It's great. It's great. I just have a little trouble sometimes with the hem, you know, but aside, because I'm short.
I know that feeling. I do. Now, you've had how many books come out just recently? I know on the site I've added a few, your Moon series, correct?
Yes, I had Dragon Moon came out, and the next thing that's coming out from Berkeley is a spin-off called Day of the Dragon. And in Dragon Moon there was a secondary hero who's a dragon shifter, and I just really got into him and wanted to give him his own story. So I wanted to, he's from an ancient culture, he's a space traveler, but he's not sure about it. He doesn't know it, and he's trying to figure out who he is, and I decided, well, where did they land and where have they been in the world? And have you heard of the Nazca lines?
No.
Those are lines in Peru, and they're pictures like it. One of them is a hummingbird, there's a monkey, there's hands looking like this, and you can only see them from a plane. So that somebody made these pictures in the desert that are impossible to see unless you're up high. And so the theory may be that it could have been space travelers who did it. So I said, okay, let's go to Peru. So we went, last year we went to Peru, and I did a lot of traveling around the country and decided where to have him find an ancient tomb, and I did it in Colca Canyon, which is not where most people go, so it's kind of an interesting, different sort of location in Peru. I mean,
and you can write it off.
Yes, that's right. But I mean, I went to Machu Picchu, and I thought maybe I'd use that, but that's just everybody goes there, so, but not so much Colca Canyon. Mostly people go there to see the condors.
Oh, okay.
Okay, they like the thermals coming up from the canyon, and it's the deepest canyon in the world, deeper than the Grand Canyon. It's just narrower, so it doesn't look quite as spectacular.
Yeah. Well, that is so cool, and I just love your little tweets because you make some really fun tweets.
Thanks.
And it's just at Rebecca York, isn't it?
It's at Rebecca York 43.
43. Okay.
Got on after there was already a Rebecca York, but
so that Rebecca
no
York
space.
Is not you.
Right, not me. It's 43 because I have the 43 Light Street series. So
okay.
That's my number, right?
That is your number. Well, if your readers are watching this, they've got to start following you because you have some of the most interesting tweets.
Thank you. I try. It's like I get up in the morning and now I got to be funny, you know, or engaging.
See, I get on maybe once a week, and you know, I think, why is anybody following me? I'm not that interesting, but you are really interesting. I love reading your tweets.
Thanks very much.
And you're an amazing author. You've really accomplished quite a bit.
Thank you. Well, I work hard at it. I mean, I spend a lot of time. I write, you know, it used to be when I first started, I took a long time writing a draft, and then I would take a long time editing. And what I figured out was I can write it fast and then spend a long time editing. So that's what I do. And I get a draft, and usually I edit the whole thing on the screen, and then I print it out and go through it on paper and put those changes back in. And then I think, now it's done. And I go and look at it again, and it's, oh no, I see all these things. Because the cleaner it is, and the more you've worked on it, or at least for me, the more I see that needs fixing. So that's my method. I usually hope I could print it out just twice, and it's usually 3 times.
Isn't it funny how that works? And you'd think you'd be able to catch everything, but you
oh, I know. I know I can't. I mean, I've done it enough so that I know that it's going to take a while, and just relax and do it, you know, and stop worrying about it.
But I think that's great that you can do a draft that quickly, that the characters come to you, the story comes to you that quickly. That's a gift.
Well, the reason I can write a draft quickly is that I really honestly write a synopsis before I do it. I know there are people who just want to sit down and write, but I feel like my books are fairly complicated, and it's hard. Once I write down that synopsis, I don't have to remember the whole thing anymore.
Yeah.
So I do that first, and I spend a fair amount of time thinking about the characters and what situations I want to put them in. Now, there's always things that change, because there's always things that I think of as I'm going along, just because I get into the story. Oh, that would be neat, or why didn't I do that? So those are things that I do, but I think you can write fast if you've already figured out the plot.
And where you want it to
Yes,
go,
right.
and that sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, well, that makes complete sense, but I still think you're awfully gifted to
Well,
be able
thank
to
you.
do it that way. Do you have a favorite character from all the books that you've written? Would you say there's one character that stands out in your mind that you just really, really love?
Well, there are two, and the first one is Hunter Kelly in Nowhere Man, because that was, I really identified with this poor guy who was in an awful situation and is saved by a woman who falls in love with him. But then after that, it would be Ross Marshall, my first werewolf, who, because I thought about him for 5 years before I wrote him, because I was really afraid to who would buy a werewolf story for me, because it was before paranormal was in. So I spent a lot of time with him, and he's been in all the Moon books, because he comes back and he's really gotten the family together in a way that they didn't before, you know, that they weren't, because they're all alpha males, and they're all sort of the head of their own pack, and now he's got them working together. They do fight, you know, and they snap at each other, but mostly they can keep it under control because of him.
Well, will it be hard saying goodbye to this character when the series is over?
I think it will be, but you know, I just did, for example, for the Mammoth book, Hot Romance, I just did a vampire story. I'm sorry, a werewolf story and it's about a new martial guy. And I can always bring them back in shorter form, or do whatever I want to do with it. They're mine.
They're yours. You can do what you want. Well, thank you so much for taking time to be with us today, and we look forward to seeing you the rest of this convention.
Well, and thank you. Thanks for asking me. It was fun.
Thanks.